I'd like to start by telling a story. And when we did this panel in Los Angeles, we had a little pre-meeting with the panelists, and I told them the story of my mother's death. And when I finished, I think it was Ellen, I'm not sure, somebody said to me, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is dying well. Well, I didn't know that because it was my only experience. And so I'm going to share it with you. My mother was from Brazil. She was a very young, vital 75, living overseas. She'd been in Russia for 10 years and had just moved to Hong Kong 1 year before. And we had our usual weekly phone call. And at the end, she said to me, if I don't move back to the States soon, I'm going to die here. I said, what are you talking about? Don't even say that. You're not even sick. She moved back to the States in 4 weeks. I spent a week with her. We had a blast. She was a singer and very lively, as I said. Somebody asked me one time, oh, you're the one who had that wild mother. And we stayed up dancing and singing till 1 and 2 in the morning for a week. And I went home, and the next day, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer and given 4 months to live. So, boy, that was big news for me. And I knew at that moment what my role would be, and I knew I didn't know how to fulfill it, that I really didn't know what I was doing, and I knew nothing about death and dying. So I got on a fast track. I actually stepped out of my work world for the first time in my adult life so that I could be with her. And, okay, so I just want to tell you a few key things. She wanted Brazilian food. So I thought, I've got to find somebody who knows how to make great Brazilian food. I made one phone call to the Brazilian embassy, to the cultural attaché, because I didn't know who to call. And that person happened to know the perfect person who came and helped my mother and cooked for her until she passed away. 6 weeks before she died, she called me and my siblings into her room and said, I want you kids to know I have booked some time in a recording studio for us next week, and we're going to be recording a song as a family. And my siblings took me down the hall, and one of them said, you know, we can't record a song, you know, she's too weak, she's 86 pounds. And the other one said, we can't record, we haven't rehearsed. So I said, be there. So we went into that recording studio and had the most amazing experience. My mother did what we call in Brazil, she recebeu o santo, which means that she received the saint, and the music poured through her. It was incredible. Brazilian jazz scat singing, wow. Which became the lead into this family song and the lead out, the fade out. So that was, we set up a CD assembly line next to her bed in the living room, and she was also a visual artist and put one of her paintings on the cover while she sat there and beamed at us. And 3 days before she passed away, and in that interim we had a lot of celebrations and birthday parties and things, she looked up at me and said, you're not afraid, are you? I said, no, I'm not afraid. And she went back under, and she came out again, and she said, then I'm not either. Yeah. Sorry. This was such a gift to me. And, you know, she died in my arms as I knew she would. It was just before dawn, with no struggle. There was no medication. There were no doctors. She just went. It was the most intimate thing I've ever experienced next to the birth of my children. So I'm really grateful, and we're going to hear a lot tonight. We'll hear other stories tonight about the way people die, the kinds of conversations they have. We'll also hear about writing storylines for television on these topics. I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to read this. There was a headline in The Onion that Ellen gave me. Global death rate holding steady at 100%. The piece goes on to say, Death, a metabolic affliction causing total shutdown of all life functions, has long been considered humanity's #1 health concern. Responsible for 100% of all recorded fatalities worldwide, the condition has no cure. So we all know this will happen, and yet our culture treats death as a taboo. And so, it's time for our culture to join some of the others around the world and really start talking about this in a creative way.